Whenever I modify a knife, I commonly get asked, if you like the knife so much, why did you change everything about it? The truth is that some knives are so great that they inspire my creative side. The part of me that wants to take something awesome and make it truly mine. When you modify a knife, you take someone else's handiwork and make it personal to you. The look, the feel, everything becomes an extension of you while retaining the soul of the design that captured your interest in the first place. How's it going, everybody? I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, and welcome in to part 1 of Pimp My Knife. In this mini series, I'm going to be modifying not one but two Spyderco paramilitary 2s. In this first one, we have a massive shout out to Sharp Dressed Knives for providing some amazing scales, but we're not going to stop there. It wouldn't be fair to call this Pimp My Knife and only change the scales. So we have several modifications that we're going to go over today, and I'm super excited to show you how I transform this DLT exclusive Spyderco paramilitary 2. The paramilitary 2 is an amazing knife, but today we're going to make it better, and I'm going to bring to light some amazing modifications that you can also currently buy to pimp out your Spyderco paramilitary 2. Let's check it out.
Keep the change, you filthy animal.
So here's the deal, guys. I actually reached out to many companies that make knife modifications specifically for the Spyderco paramilitary 2. I had a knife in mind and I just wanted to cover my bases. I was hoping that somebody would say yes and help me out, because modifying knives is expensive, and I should know. I've modified this one, I've modified this one, I've modified this one, and here's the deal. Whenever you start stacking up modifications to take a knife and truly make it yours, it gets expensive. So I was hoping that somebody would be willing to work with me so that I could make this video, because one of my passions within the knife community is modifying knives to truly make it unique and to make it mine. And I love inspiring that in others as well. So shocked was I when I got contacted by not one but two of the companies that I reached out to. So there I was saying, well, you know, I've got two companies that can provide the base, the scales, but what do I do here? So I actually have two exclusive versions of the Spyderco paramilitary 2, and for this one, for the Sharp Dressed Knives edition, I decided that it would actually go much better with this DLT exclusive Spyderco paramilitary 2. So that's the base for this video. We're going to be doing that. And of course, shout out once again to Sharp Dressed Knives for making this possible. They did not provide everything, but they did provide some scales, and they also provided something that is very useful for getting this lanyard tube out. If you've ever taken a Spyderco paramilitary 2 or any Spyderco that has this lanyard tube, you probably already know that they can be a bit of a pain to remove. So if you like any of the stuff that I feature, make sure to check them out. All of these modifications that I'm showing off today to really pimp out this knife are in fact available. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about the modifications we're going to be making to pimp out this DLT exclusive Spyderco paramilitary 2 in crew wear. Everything that I'm using for this build is in this bag. Let's go ahead and start with the exciting part, and that's going to be the handle scales. These are the dark matter red carbon fiber scales from Sharp Dressed Knives. And if you have had any experience with dark matter fat carbon fiber, it is amazing, because whenever they make these scales, the color variation is always different. They're always a little bit different. The pattern is never the same. And to top that off, Sharp Dressed Knives, he CNC machined these and then hand finishes them to make them truly custom. That means that even if you were to go on to Sharp Dressed Knives right now and you buy these same scales, they would be a different variation with the same attention to detail on this fit and finish. Look at the shine and the depth in that carbon fiber. And then the red peeking through is kind of like streaks of lightning. And just like with these custom scales, lightning never strikes the same spot twice, and it makes it for a truly fantastic fit and finish and aesthetic. Next, I wanted to do something that I haven't done before, but is always suggested whenever I show off a modified Spyderco. Today, we are going to be adding in a CME from OCD for EDC. If you didn't know what a CME is it basically makes your regular compression lock a button compression lock. And this one's cool. This is the Blood Money edition. And I thought the red really popped. I like the different layers inside that resin. I think it's resin based. And so that should go well with our overall color scheme on these handle scales. Next, I went ahead and picked up a Rips Garage Tech dark matter fat carbon fiber backspacer because I love backspacers. I think that they really add to the aesthetic, and the fact that this one is red dark matter fat carbon fiber will 100% match with these scales. The real question here is, will everything line up correctly? Will the tolerances be good? Whenever you customize a knife, you don't necessarily know, especially when you're not using parts from all the same company. So that should actually be pretty interesting to find out. I haven't test fit these yet, so honestly, I don't know. We're just going to go through that process together. And then finally, to pull everything together for the clip, we couldn't leave the clip alone. We're actually going to be using a MXG deep carry clip because I think the MXG deep carry clips are some of the best looking. They're American made and they always work well. I actually have one on my modified Para 3. And it's fantastic, smooth in and out of the pocket. And of course, I can't stay away from titanium. Come on now. Now, we wouldn't get very far if I ended up damaging that lanyard tube in the process of disassembly. And so this is the Sharp Dressed Knives lanyard cube. And this is a lanyard tube removal tool that actually makes it very, very easy. I've actually wanted one of these for a long time. So shout out to Sharp Dressed Knives for including this. If you want one, these are available on their website. I will make sure to link it down below. It's not an affiliate link, but it does say thank you to them for providing these scales and this lanyard cube. Everything else was purchased by me. So I'm going to go ahead and link to the disassembly and assembly video up above in case you want to check that out. Otherwise, let's go ahead and see how this changes. Here is the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 before, and here is after. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Blood Money Paramilitary 2. And oh man, I gotta say, it turned out way better than I had anticipated. What a cool build. I am enamored by, well, I'm enamored by everything. It's so cool to plan out a custom build and see it come together. And, you know, I'm going to go over each and every modification, and then I'll list the prices, and everything will be linked down below in case you want to pick something up. None of those will be affiliate links, but if you want to support the amazing American knife modders out there, please do. It's very satisfying to modify your own knives. Let's start off from the top down with this pocket clip. This is a MXG deep carry pocket clip. You might notice that it's not black. I know what the first thing people are going to say is, well, you should have done black. It would have matched the blade and so on and so forth. There's a couple reasons why I went with Stonewash on this. First and foremost, I think that the Stonewash MXG deep carry clips just look so good. They make, in my opinion, what is the best looking deep carry bent pocket clip that money can buy for a Spyderco. And I mean that when I say that. With that being said, it's also an American-made pocket clip. This is 100% made and manufactured here in the United States. In fact, every modification on this knife is, including the knife itself. So I went with Stonewash because I carry these knives. There's not a single knife in my collection that I don't carry, and the pocket clips tend to take a beating. When they're anodized or colored, you really notice that over time, whereas the Stonewash just kind of patinas in naturally, and it continues to look great even after it's been in your pocket and has been rubbed up against concrete walls, so on and so forth. This pocket clip costs $25, and it is currently in stock at MXG's website. Again, it is linked down below. Moving on, let's check out this backspacer. Now the backspacer I ordered specifically to match these dark matter red carbon fiber handle scales, and I feel like it did a pretty good job. The finish is not the same as what we're seeing here on the handle scales itself, but the pattern meshes in and melds in nicely. The handle scales have more of a polished look. This has more of a rough look, but it still does a great job of melding in, because even though it's not the same finish, it is still the same material, dark matter red. These are fantastic, and I definitely recommend them from Rip's Garage Tech. If you want a set of their backspacers, they do have those in other colors as well. So let's say you get a blue dark matter carbon fiber handle scale and you want to match it with the backspacer, they do that as well. And so they have a lot of options. That will cost $45. Moving on to this. This little button right here is called a CME, a compression made easy, and that's from OCD for EDC. Just like with everything else, it's made right here in the United States. This specific pattern is from their specialty lineup. It's their specialty material, and I'm not 100% sure what it's made out of since they didn't have a description for it, but if I had to take a guess, I'd say it's a bit of an epoxy resin. I'm not sure. What's cool about these specialty material CMEs is that they vary greatly in their color combo and the way that they look, because they're each handmade. And so one will never be like another. They will have similar aspects to them, but you never really know what you're going to get, because each one is going to have a different pattern, kind of like carbon fiber handle scales. This Modification scared the crap out of me, and it scared the crap out of me because it utilizes super glue, and what you're supposed to do is put a shim down here like a piece of paper to make sure that it doesn't rub against your handle scale. And then you also have one shot. You've got one chance to line it up perfectly. It has this little lip that overhangs over the compression lock bar, and if you don't line it up perfectly, you're stuck grabbing the nail polish remover and trying to get it off of that lock bar after the fact, and then having to reapply it. So if you don't get it right on the first time, it can be a real pain, and it scared me because I put the glue on the CME and I go to put it on there and the shim falls out, and I panicked because the glue is drying. I don't want the glue to dry up and harden on the CME and then have to reapply a layer that could mess with a lot of things, and then I'd have to sand off. And so with most things in my life, I went for it. I lined it up the best I could and popped it on there, and it lined up perfectly. I don't think I could have asked for a better fit. There is absolutely no rub on this build, and it works great. Does it work better than just using the regular lock bar? I mean, I don't know. It's an extra thing to add on there, and it's one of those things where I really wanted to showcase, just what you could do to a knife like this. Does it match the scales 100%? No. He didn't have dark matter red carbon fiber for a material for this, but it was close enough, and I like the fact that it had an ever-changing variation. This is from his specialty material line. It costs about $35, and it's called Blood Money. And the ordeal with getting this fitted and making sure that it was on there perfect was so much that I am actually naming this build the Blood Money Paramilitary 2. Super, super cool. $35 for that CME. Install it yourself at your own risk. It is 100% a commitment. Next up and last, I saved the best for last, these scales. These are the Sharp Dressed Knives Dark Matter Carbon Fiber Red handle scales, and these are fantastic. He CNC mills these and then finishes them by hand, and I can tell you that the finish is Well, it's perfect. The red peeking through, it's like streaks of red lightning or lava boiling up from the center of a volcano. It's crazy how much depth and definition go into these scales, and I love that each set of these scales is unique, not just because he hand finishes them, but also because the variation that you get is going to be unique and personal to you. It looks fantastic. The dark matter red has been a handle scale material that I've been chasing on knives for a long time, but it seems like every time I find a knife that has these kinds of scales, they sell out before I can get to them, and I can see why. But more to the point, Sharp Dress Knives did donate these scales for this episode, and I am extremely grateful because I haven't had an opportunity until now to check out his handle scales, but I can tell you that these are fantastic. The fit and finish is great. The feel is great. It keeps the weight down. And that's something that I haven't really had a chance to experience with all of my titanium custom builds, because titanium adds weight, whereas carbon fiber is extremely strong and durable. It's not made of metal, it won't rust, and it's also lightweight. And so if you like the lightweight feel of a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, these are going to be amazing handle scale replacements for the regular G10. Picking the right handle scale sets the tone for the entire build. These handle scales cost $139, and I can say that they are going to be worth every single penny. There's very few manufacturers out there that get this quality, and something that I see a lot of times on production knives that have the dark matter carbon fiber scales is that you get one or two blips of color, and then the rest of it is just the regular carbon fiber material. And to see that red peeking through everywhere and shifting the light to capture more spots that have it coming through is fantastic. I kept the hardware black. I love the black look on there with the black Crewwear DLC blade from Spyderco. This is the Blood Money Paramilitary 2. Here is the total cost of everything. And guys, I'm excited because this is episode 1 of 2 of Pimp My Knife. Let me know in the comment section down below if I should make this more than just a mini series, if I should try to make this more of a regular thing. Do you like knife modding videos? Do you like seeing the different variations, the different options? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want to see episode 2, where I modify a Blade Ops exclusive Paramilitary 2 in titanium, make sure to click on the video that pops up next.